I never heard this answer in this series.
Every PhD and every researcher would like to believe that their research is very interesting and very important.
So, what keeps you motivated on very tough days?
That's a very pessimistic answer, but then I would say my salary.
Working alone or collaborative projects?
Anyway, I'm alone.
Namaskar and welcome back to another episode of Candid with Candidates. In today's episode, I'm joined by Laxmi Chaulagain, a PhD researcher at Wageningen University and Research in the Netherlands.
I am Laxmi Chaulagain and I'm from Nepal, and now I live in the Netherlands doing a PhD. We studied in Nepal. Our university is like this? No. We have a very good university. We study a lot of courses in our bachelor's. We know economics, we know engineering, we know biology, we know soil. We also studied statistics. We also studied engineering, how the tractor runs. IAAS has prepared you enough. I'm surprised how alone I have to conduct this research. What I study is like how would the soil suitability and water availability kind of depict the land use that we choose.
They withdraw the water and throw into the ocean. So sounds like a man-made problem, right?
Indeed, it's kind of a man-made problem. If you are convinced yourself that, okay, I want to do this master's, you would definitely be able to convince someone else. Just write a good motivation letter.
Don't just copy from senior or chat GPT. We both studied in IAAS. Like you studied in Lomjung and I studied in Poklihawa. Both of them are the Conchion campus of Tribhuvan University. So our agriculture campus, they have like very dirty student politics. As a student, how did you keep your focus and motivation in that kind of environment?
Focus on extracurriculars. Have a good relationship with the ones who would recommend it.
Namaskar and welcome back to another episode of Candid with Candidates, a series where we talk about PhD life beyond papers, experiments and deadlines. In today's episode, I'm joined by Laxmi Chaulagain, a PhD researcher at Wageningen University and Research in the Netherlands, working at the intersection of soil, water, and climate-resilient landscape. Her research focuses on understanding soil suitability and water availability in sandy soil regions and how nature-based approaches can help design more sustainable land use system in a changing climate. Laxmi's academic journey began with studying agriculture in Nepal at Institute of Agriculture and Animal Sciences IAAS Tribhuvan University, continued through an Erasmus Mundus master's program across Belgium, Austria, and Germany, and has now brought her to doctoral research at one of the world's leading university in environment and agricultural sciences. We both share roots in IAAS under Tribhuvan University, different campuses, different experiences of course, but a familiar system that shaped where we started. From choosing agriculture, navigating international scholarships, to the realities of PhD research abroad. This is Candid with Candidates, Unfiltered PhD life. So now, let's get into it. Welcome to the channel, Laxmi.
Thank you, Divya. It's my pleasure to be here.
Can you introduce yourself in your own words to our audience?
I am Laxmi Chaulagain and I'm from Nepal, and now I live in the Netherlands doing a PhD. That's pretty much it, I would say.
So for those who don't know you at all, who is Laxmi beyond PhD?
I am a fun-loving girl who loves to travel and love reading books, and who wants to enjoy her simple life. That's me, Laxmi.
Wow. Yeah, when you said you love reading book, I remember like during undergrad, you even sent me like all the pages of one of the novels, right? I still remember
Yes,
that.
Suvin Bhattrai. Priya Sufin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to like studying agriculture. What first drew you to study agriculture?
So during my high school days, or in the end of the high school, I knew that I didn't want to pursue any natural science background. I wanted to do applied sciences, and then we had some kind of visitors who gave us a brochure of all the applied sciences fields that we could choose, and then there I saw agriculture and forestry, and I think that was what intrigued me in that class. Then later on, one of my relatives also suggested my father, okay, agriculture is a emerging field, maybe your daughter can choose that field. So both of them, I think, kind of shaped me to study agriculture.
Wow, so before joining IAAS, what were your expectations about agriculture as a field and a career?
To be honest, I didn't have any expectations because I had no idea of how agriculture as a subject would be taught, because agriculture is kind of in our genes, I would say, because our whole family are farmers, we're farmers. And being so connected to my village, I have seen farming systems very closely. So I was like, I had no expectation. I think that would be a very honest answer. And as a career, to me, I always wanted to be like working in agriculture development bank. So that was my goal when I started my agriculture bachelor.
Agriculture Development Bank. Sounds interesting. Yeah. So did studying agriculture in undergrad change your perspective on farming and natural systems?
Yes. First of all, studying agriculture science kind of make me believe, okay, it's also a science. Of course, it's also an art that our parents and ancestors has passed upon all the skills and knowledge. But of course, it's also a science. Now we do all the research, right? So that's, I think, one of the things that I learned. And another is that how much agriculture is so connected to nature. So I think that's one of the thing, that because we have to rely on natural principles and all the weather patterns, all these biophysical-chemical cycling and all these interfaces which really affects the yields at the end. So I think that really make me kind of understand the nature also in deep way, I would say.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, apart from using the scientific knowledge, even the traditional practices and knowledge that our ancestors have passed on upon us, like they also play a very vital role in the agriculture and farming system. Yeah.
Indeed, I would say they are the fundamental knowledge which science picked up upon later on.
So we both studied in IAS, like you studied in Lomjung and I studied in Poklihawa. Both of them are the Conchion campus of Tribhuvan University. How would you describe your overall experience there?
It was so beautiful. One of the most beautiful years of my whole life, I would say. It was very enriching, not only in academic way, but also in a very personal way. I learned a lot. I have made closest of close friends there. And also, so first time living away from family and then doing everything alone, I think made me kind of independent. And then I would say, what I learned in IAAS, academically, personally, emotionally, in a mature way or anything, shaped me or prepared me for who I am today. So that's what IAAS for me. It's my root.
Yeah. That's very true. And people also often quote it as like 4 years of holiday.
Lots of hiking, traveling, friends, movies, eating, all of it.
Few months of study and lots of travel and extra activities. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So our agriculture campus, they have like very dirty student politics. As a student, how did you keep your focus and motivation in that kind of environment?
To be honest, me and some of my closest friends, we were not so much into politics. I think for us, it was like not to get manipulated with the things that they say. I think that was the kind of key to not get into the dirty politics.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also trying same, like being involved in certain organizations and like, trying to be away from the politics. Yeah,
but being in an to me, even if you were or if I were a part of a political organization, that doesn't mean that I'm not focused in my study.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
No, I mean to say, like, when there is like, when you first went to like agriculture college and like the environment is totally different, right? Like student carrying the flags of like different political parties, and it's like unusual compared to other institutions. Like we have different.
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed, it was like a shocking experience in the first semester. I would say, oh wow, what is happening there? Why are we all are here to study, and then we are grouped into 2 different or 3 different categories based on what we don't even, maybe we don't believe in, or we don't know which side we are on, but then we were just manipulated in a way, so but then with time, over time, to learn that okay, we should not be manipulated, it's all not very important thing, then I think it's a group of friends. I would say I would credit my friends on that we were a bunch of people who would not care about what is happening, and then okay, we would just focus on what we like: travel, study, enjoy. I think that was what was the key for me.
That's one way to adapt to that environment.
Indeed.
So while studying agriculture, like when did the research start feeling like something you wanted to pursue seriously?
So for me, the view of scientist, like, so when I was in grade 8, we had an amazing science teacher, and then he would bring like everyday new facts about science, and then he would say that science was the last period, so everybody would be very bored, but then he would always bring some facts. So he would start the lesson with a interesting fact, and then also end with it. So then I was like, oh wow, that's interesting, maybe I should be a scientist, and then when I went to the grade 10, one of my our like science tutor, was like brilliant. Like, he kind of went through the fundamentals of all the science courses, like the subjects, mini subjects, biology, physics, and all this. And then I kind of felt intrigued with all of those reasonings, like critical thinking, reasonings, and all those. So I was like, I need to study science because I want to become a scientist. I think that's where like everything started. And then research came later on during my thesis. There I learned about, in bachelor's thesis, there I learned about, okay, this is research and this is how you do research. And then when I did my bachelor thesis, I realized, okay, this is what I want to do for my whole life. I enjoy it.
So the starting point of your like research, like thinking about research, is started after the UPA? Was it UPA for you guys as well?
Yes, it was UPA.
Okay. Yeah. So looking back, what from your agriculture background do you think prepare you well for the research?
Currently, I'm not so much doing agriculture research in my PhD, so I would not know how would I say that how agriculture shaped me. But then what I can say is that how UPA shaped me for my current research is that I learned, that was the fundamental seed where I learned about how to conduct research from step 1, right? So I would say, of course, that shaped me like as a foundation to do a research.
Wow. What was the research area during your UPA?
I studied the effect of different weed management practices in different varieties of finger millet.
Wow.
Nepal. Yeah.
Sounds exciting, yeah. After your undergrad, you secured an Erasmus Mundus scholarship for master's, right? That's really a big achievement and also a dream for many Nepali students. So when did you first hear about Erasmus Mundus and what encouraged you to apply?
Okay, to be honest, I wanted to study master's abroad, but I didn't know about Erasmus, to be honest. So one of my closest friends sent me a link via LinkedIn to apply. Okay, so this is there is an opening for masters, and then just see if you like to apply. And then I applied. Till then, I had no clue about Erasmus Mundus, even though when I applied. I just filled up the form, I did all the preparations, submitted, and when I got selected, then I was like, then I came to realize about Erasmus and everything. Planning to study in the States because I think that is so much common. And I knew only because of the seniors that, okay, going to the US to study agriculture, masters in agriculture is very common, and then to come to the Europe was not much information,
it was not so common, right? It was not so common.
So then I didn't heard of it at all before that. So I think it was coincidental.
Wow. So you were selected for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So what do you think made your application stand out?
To be honest, I wouldn't know. But then, I wouldn't know because I have not.
You can guess.
Other applications. But what I can say is that I worked for or with CIMIT as just interviewer, in a couple of projects, and then that was related to soil fertility and plant varieties and all this. So I think that experience really helped me to secure the scholarship, and of course also the
papers you had, the books you had published.
Oh yeah, indeed. I always forget about the books. Yeah, I kind of with my one of my friends, we kind of wrote a couple of books for agriculture program for the high school level or school level. So yeah, I think that kind of also helped me to stand out. Indeed. Yeah, I forgot about that, but thank you for reminding me.
I actually thought you would say that at first.
Yeah, I don't know why. I always keep forgetting, yeah, to mention about that everywhere I go. And people remind me, oh, you have done
I
that,
think
you
that
know?
was the important thing. Yeah, it's okay. So for Nepali student watching us right now, who might feel like these opportunity like PhD abroad or like Erasmus Mundus or any other scholarship, like those opportunities are too far away, what would you tell them?
No, it is not. The first thing is your own insecurity. We always tend to kind of
Yeah.
underestimate ourselves, I think, and then don't listen to anyone, I would say, because I am just an average student in my batch. But then I kind of applied unknowingly, but then I applied. I think that was the reason I got selected. So first you need to apply to get selected.
Unless you
Sorry?
apply, you never know. Yeah.
Exactly. So then so many like juniors after I got, like they ask me if I can get or not, my score is like this or not, and I would say no. I am also like very average in my batch, but it's not only about how much is your academic score or where you were affiliated or how many organizations you have been, or no, it doesn't matter. It depends on if you are capable enough to pursue that master's degree and complete it. If you can prove that with your motivation letter and CV, and if you have any experiences, it's good. But if you don't have, and it doesn't matter. I have seen so many people getting accepted without any publication, without any work experience. So first thing is just apply.
That's right. And like, yeah, the main thing is we must be able to sell ourselves and convince them, right?
Yeah,
That is the
exactly.
most
Yeah.
important thing.
Just
So,
write a good motivation letter. Be honest. Why you want to do that thing. If you are convinced yourself that, okay, I want to do this master's, you would definitely be able to convince someone else. If you are not convinced yourself, you are just swimming here and there, okay, maybe I'll also apply here, maybe I'll also apply there, okay, let's see. Then you are not motivated enough for all of these fields, right? Then maybe it will be difficult to convince others because you are not yourself convinced. So that's a key.
that's a great
Convince
advice.
yourself and others.
Yeah. Right. Can you give some steps or some tips for a student that they should focus on if they are preparing to apply for international scholarship like Erasmus?
First of all, I would say is like, of course, study nicely, like all the lessons and all the subjects as hard as you can, but also focus on extracurriculars. For example, being in an organization means like having like this other soft skills, leadership or teamwork and all these kind of things. And also, if for example GIS is not your kind of not in a course, and if your masters require it, maybe it's good to do those kind of skills courses, similar R or Python, which you can learn by yourself. I think that would really help you to stand out for the applications. And then another I would say is conduct the research very nicely in your bachelor thesis, so that you know if you enjoy research. Because in abroad, if you are doing international or like masters, most of the master's degree kind of lead you towards research career, most of it. So I think it would be nice if you can, if you know that you are interested in doing research or not, even though it's not necessary. Yeah, and then maybe have a good relationship with the ones who would recommend it.
Yeah, very good advice indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Recommenders are important, right? Sometimes like they have to be sent online, like electronically. So having
They
good
are
relations
very
with
important.
professors is a
Like
great idea. Yeah.
the important, one of the important.
Yeah.
Because when you and for example, candidate A and B have same or similar competencies, they will ask, they will then go to
Recommend.
referees. So there, I think, yeah, it's important to have a good reference from someone who can speak well about you. And there is a misconception in Nepal, and I also had it before. Maybe now this generation and future don't have it, but that okay, we need to have a reference from a very well known or with doctorate. And it doesn't matter.
No, no, no.
Please, it's
Yeah.
just who knows you, who have taught
Yeah.
you or who have tutored you all of this or supervised you, and then who can speak well about you. That's what is
Yeah,
important.
that's more important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
understand.
Reputation or title of the recommender doesn't matter. If they
No.
can't write good thing about you, what if they don't recommend you at all, or then
Yeah.
it doesn't help, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Your application will be wasted. So yeah,
Indeed.
choosing a recommender is really I think it's one of the important step during the application.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Also, I would say writing a good motivation letter. I think
Yeah, that
people
is the
have,
most number one. Yeah.
yeah, like just write a good motivation letter.
Yeah. Don't just copy from senior or chat GPT.
Indeed. Oh no. I think now people are very much smart enough to detect the
Yeah, yeah,
AI
yeah.
knowledge.
It's
We
obvious. It's
can
like
easily
so
read
obvious,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
it's obvious. Motion
So,
generated ones are too obvious.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's jump into your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your PhD project at Wageningen is titled Nature-Based Transitions, Quantifying Soil Suitability and Water Availability for Regenerated Sandy Soil Landscape. Can you explain what does that mean in simple terms and what you are trying to understand with this research?
Mm-hmm. So, first of all, that's the project that I'm working on is NAT called Nature-Based Approaches for Sandy Soil Landscapes. What we are going trying to do is to understand how nature-based approaches, meaning nature-based natural principles, can be applied for the land use choices. And this project is based on Netherlands. As we know, or if you don't know, Netherlands is a country where the water is thrown out to make it suitable for land, to settlement and all the land use. But recently, due to climate change and other human interventions, in the summer we have like extreme drought. If it doesn't rain for even 1 or 2 months, the lands run dry and all the biodiversity and ecosystem fails. So considering this problem, so now the Netherlands wants to make their land use sustainable and also productive, and make it climate resilient for future. And for that, now the nature-based approaches are emerging, kind of options to use the land in a very sustainable way. So currently we are using land based on what we want, right? How we want, not based on what it can offer to us. So now this is like a paradigm shift to use our land based on what it can offer. So in that, what I study is like how would the soil suitability and water availability kind of depict the land use that we choose. So that's what I am studying about.
Wow, but you mentioned that they withdraw the water and throw into the ocean. So sounds like a man-made problem, right?
Indeed, it's kind of a man-made problem. The Netherlands did not exist like it is now. 1/3 of the land is under the sea level, so of course to make the land suitable for living and doing all the agriculture, they have to continuously drain the water away from the land so that the land is dry enough, right? And then because of that, when it's like when the rain doesn't happen, and especially this is for the sandy soil landscapes where I focus on in my study. This landscape does not have like good water holding capacity because they are just sand. So when there is like a drought, for example, no rain for a couple of months, the soil runs very dry, right? Then the ecosystem fails. And so that's the problem. And yeah, that's the problem of the Netherlands in some part of the Netherlands.
Wow, so why groundwater of all the water system, and how is studying groundwater contribute towards climate resilience?
Yeah. I focus on groundwater in my PhD because in the Netherlands, so most of the groundwater are very shallow. Like it's within 1 meter reachable from the land surface, and it really impacts the land use options we choose, right? So then the main aim for my study is to kind of understand how landscape functions in its natural setting by going to the past. So now I focus on groundwater because groundwater in the Netherlands really shape all of the components of the landscape. So that's why I focus on groundwater.
Wow, that sounds really tricky because like you mentioned, like 1 meter shallow, like groundwater, but still staying in drought condition during like...
Indeed, it's because of the sand. And it's not in every part of the Netherlands. Is that a problem? It's only in these sandy regions. Yeah.
So why focus on sandy soil landscape? What's special about them? And why are they important for sustainability and climate resilience?
Yes, sandy soil landscapes because, as I already mentioned, it cannot withstand even some months of drought, but most of the, or some like a significant percentage of the land are used for agriculture in the Netherlands. Sandy regions are used for agriculture and also settlement areas, and there are huge biodiversity hotspots in these areas. So that's why the water management is very tricky because if there is a lot of rain, then it is also likely that it will flood very easily, right? And then when it is very dry, it cannot withstand that short period of drought. So it's a very tricky landscape. That's why focusing on sandy soil landscape as a very different, entirety, and study it in detailed way rather than all type of landscape.
Yeah, so from what you explained, it seems like very important research, right?
Every PhD and every researcher would like to believe that their research is very interesting and very important. Yeah, but then I think, yes, it is, because it really, in the Netherlands, there was a drought in 2018-19, and then that alone, 1 year drought alone, I think cost about 1 to 2 billion euros worth of loss. And that's huge.
That's huge.
So I would say, of course.
Yeah. So your research aims to design climate resilient, nature-based landscape rather than just modifying environment for short-term use. How do you investigate that scientifically?
Yes, our project as overall would want to contribute to design nature-based strategies, but my research is just a part, tiny little part of that whole project. So my part is to quantify and understand the natural functioning of the landscape, right? So to apply those nature-based approaches, we need to know the nature-based principles, right? So then to know the nature-based principles, Netherlands is heavily modified, human-modified landscapes. So to understand natural systems is very difficult. That's why we are trying to understand the past as a reference to understand the natural state. And so by quantifying how nature or landscape used to function in the past, we can kind of create a baseline or threshold for future land use or options or land regeneration approaches. There, I think the quantification of these natural components and the processes and the drivers is the scientific way to investigate it. I think I would say like this project would contribute to develop the strategies rather than developing the strategies itself.
Wow, thank you for simplifying this. So, in your project, you think about water availability and also soil suitability together, right? So,
Yeah.
how do these two things shape how land should be used or managed?
Indeed, different soil types have different water requirements as well, and also how much water can store. So, of course, they would definitely determine the land use options. For example, if you have a clay soil, then there is the water availability can be higher, and then the storage can be higher. So you can choose some of the different types of crops, or maybe even build a house somewhere, right? But then in the very sandy landscapes, maybe you would not have different agricultural crops options, right? Maybe, yeah, you need to stick with what is there in the nature. You maybe you can't change a lot unless you heavily modify the landscapes. So of course the suitability of soil means soil types, and then the water availability means how much water it can withhold and provide, definitely affects the land use.
How do long-term experiments, field data, and modeling come together in your work?
So in my research, I use modeling approach to study the past because it doesn't exist. So we have to use the models. So, but also I sometimes go to the field to see the field. Just to see the model kind of doesn't make sense. Also, you need to go to the field and see, okay, what the landscape look like. Different than in the model. But in terms of experiments, in my research, I alone don't do any field or lab experiments, but in our projects we are doing another PhD from another work package is doing also a lab experiment, and maybe we'll upscale to field experiment about different crop types which can withstand both the drought and flood conditions, something like that. But as a project, we use all of three approaches, I would say. And for me, I would mostly focus on the modeling. So that's what I can say.
So you are more focused on modeling and like using the reference from literature and also from the information from collaborators.
Yes,
Is that how
indeed.
it's
Yeah, from the stakeholders mostly, yes.
Okay. So during your PhD, what has surprised you most?
I'm surprised how alone I have to conduct this research.
That's same for every PhD student, Laxmi.
Yes, I feel like, to be honest, I collaborate also with significant number of people, but then I feel like, oh my god, I'm so lonely in this research, because at the end I have to do it by myself and I have to figure out it myself. I can ask for the collaborators to kind of help me, but then to ask for what kind of help I need to have this all mental thinking. And then because most of the time it's like nobody has done it ever, right? So you have to figure it out yourself. That's why I would say the most shocking thing is that you're so alone in your PhD research.
That's true.
PhD
And this is
research.
our PhD. Like our PhD.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the impact of your research. So how does your work connect to broader climate questions such as resilience?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we want to contribute by providing the knowledge, quantitative knowledge about the natural principles of how nature functions in the landscape or natural setting, kind of helped to make smart land use choices for future based on how climate will impact. So for instance, just to put it in simple words, for example, if the precipitation or rainfall will be very high in future, we can go back in the past and see when the rainfall was very high, what were the land use, for example, what type of forest was standing very sturdily, and then maybe we can use the inspiration from that vegetation type and then apply in the future, or at least know what kind of factors it determines, what kind of maybe soil is required, or how much water it can withhold, or which vegetation stays it can withhold, or whatever. All this information can guide the future land use choices, which will ideally be resilient, like climate resilient. That's, I think, where the impact of this study lies.
Wow, that's really exciting. Like you can go back to the past using certain model and like know about all that.
No. No, we can't go to the past. Of course, time is a relative concept, as
No,
Albert.
I mean creating the models like.
Yeah, the thing is that models, all the models are useful, but they are all wrong. But then we try to. Yes, that's a famous saying. Maybe I have just twisted it around, but yes, we use models to kind of simulate the natural setting, but it's not
100% of course.
nature.
It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, as it is. But yeah, we can make some assumptions. But so the modeling is all about assumption, making educated guess, and trying to see how it would look like. So it's not like how it was. It's just our
Okay.
perspectives of how it might look like based on the facts and the evidence that we
Evidences
have.
and
So it's
literatures.
limited
Yeah.
by, yeah, the knowledge that we have. Yes.
Okay. So how do you see as the real world implication of understanding soil suitability and water availability in terms of land use or sustainable agriculture?
Yes, as I already mentioned, I guess that even in the world case scenario, I think I would say that we have been already doing that. That, okay, we always try to, especially in Nepal, we try to select the crops based on what type of soil it is, right? So we don't go, okay, so this is not fertile, let's add a lot of manure and make it fertile. That was not the way. That is not the way in so many countries, except some of the countries like Netherlands, right? So I think yeah, they really try to manipulate and then use the resources that they already have. So but then if we know, or we know, but then if we can use this information of, okay, what are the different soil types and how much water, or what is the source of water, could it be groundwater or the surface water, then we can, using this information, definitely make like land use choices that are more sustainable and also productive. But then to understand this natural way of functioning of the landscape based on these two components will help us make very, what do you say, like guided, or yeah, guided choices for the future, even in the global scale. So I think, yeah, of course, it would really, really make what do you say, like an impact to kind of using
Sustainable
the land use
agriculture.
options that we, yes. And I would say we have been already doing that as humans in all of the world. But then now is like with the nature-based approaches, maybe to quantify what that nature-based approaches is and to apply is kind of missing. So I think that would be the impact that I would want to contribute to, say, okay, this is the quantified aspect, so maybe you can do this to kind of do that kind of land use.
It's like going back to all natural things that used to be done, like the organic fertilizer and all those things, is also part of nature-based approach.
The nature-based approach is like relative term. I would say different researchers kind of define it in a very different way. But to me, it just means that, okay, we use the land based on what it is. Like there is a term that earth carrying capacity, like we need
Yeah,
to,
earth's carrying capacity.
yeah, something like that. So we need to use the land based on how much it can offer. So we use the soil type and the water availability and source as two metrics to kind of guide the land use. Yeah.
Okay, so many complicated terms.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we are from different fields, so yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's tricky.
thank you for simplifying things, as like you are simplifying so many things, but still, yeah. So now let's jump into the PhD life unfiltered. What has been the hardest part of PhD that no one really told you before about?
Not being satisfied with one work. I would say that. I'm not satisfied with my own work. Like, I feel not productive enough. Not every day is productive day. That is like very tough thing. And I think the root cause is that, I don't know, in other universities, but here in Wageningen University, we are kind of leader of our own PhD. So we schedule our own thing. Everything just based or depend on the PhD itself, like me, for example. So in masters, you have a course and all the schedules and everything, and then you go and then you study the lecture and then give the exam at the appropriate time. But in PhD, you have to manage everything by your own. So that's what I was not prepared for. That I have to do everything alone and plan and sometimes get lost into it. Yeah, that's been difficult.
So you guys also don't have the coursework?
We have to at least have 30 credits, ECTS we say, and then that has been categorized in different sections. For example, some should be related to your PhD topics, and some in your presentations, conferences, and some in your soft skills or other relevant skills, something like that. So these are all categorized in different categories.
Wow, we don't have coursework at all.
So you don't study?
We don't study. We just do research. We just have research component in our PhD.
Okay, yeah, then it's also the same, but then, I don't know how it is, but then the way I put it is that here we are also affiliated with the graduate school, even though we do research all the time. So in the graduate school, to get a degree, we need to have certain credits. And then those credits are from your own chosen courses. It's not, okay, you don't follow any program. You choose your own courses. For example, if I'm doing a modeling work and I have no experience in modeling, I take one of the modeling course. And then for example, I want to advance my statistics skill, you take 1 or 2 statistics course or R or Python course. And then others are mostly, they encourage us to go to conferences, presentations, workshops, so then there is also like some course credits for those attending those conferences and workshops and seminars like that. And then if we supervise students, we also get credits supervising students, or if you are helping someone with assisting in courses or teaching, so you get credits for all this. So it's not like a master's credit that you go to this XYZ courses and then get the ECTS. So that's how it is, just so that every PhDs at least have these all skills at the end of their PhD. So that's why we have this ECTS system.
But we don't have, and I think for us, if we have to learn some skill, we have to learn it ourselves. So we don't have those courseworks. But there are also some seminars or some bioinformatics supports in the school. We can go to those sessions, but particularly we don't have course to be enrolled or something.
Different systems.
Yeah, different systems around the globe. Yeah. So during your PhD, have you ever felt stuck or overwhelmed? And if so, how did you get through that?
Of course. Getting stuck and overwhelmed is a part of PhD.
Right.
Like bread and butter. So, but I get overwhelmed every time, and I am still stuck, to be honest, in one of my research. And I think now I'm trying to move forward from getting stuck. And I think that what have helped me is to ask for help. I think I tend to not ask my supervisor a lot for help, and that was my mistake, I would say. So to unstuck yourself is maybe ask for help, I would say, and to not get overwhelmed. There is not a way, but then how to overcome the overwhelm is I will wind down. I will not work for a day. If I'm so overwhelmed, I'll just take a rest. I'll just sleep. Sleeping is my medicine for being overwhelmed. Yeah.
So what does a good PhD day look like for you?
The good PhD day for me is that I'm satisfied with the amount of work that I have done. That's my good PhD day.
Wow. So now can you please give some advice and encouragement to students from Nepal who are watching you right now? So a lot of students in Nepal feel limited by their institution, resources, and connection. So what message of encouragement do you want to give to agriculture students who dream of research or international opportunities?
First of all is that if you want it, you will get it. That's the thing. If you want it, you will find a way to get it or secure it. So first of all is knowing yourself if you really want it. Then if you want it, if you know, then go and reach out to the people. Maybe LinkedIn, Facebook, any kind of media, and then reach out to the people. Okay, I want to do this. I have seen that, okay, you are there. Can you help me? Can you guide me? And then I think people will be willing to. Why not? Maybe people are busy and then they would not be available 24/7. But then, of course, we as a human, like, we would want to help each other, right? And then being Nepali, and then we know how difficult is the situation to come abroad from Nepal, so of course we would be there to help you. So the first thing is that knowing, and then second is getting touch with the people, and then ask the relevant question, and then, okay, this is how I want to do it, how do I do it, ask for suggestions. Then that would be like kind of customized to your own, then the general one. And then don't limit yourself or don't underestimate yourself. Even though we feel like, oh, Nepal, we studied in Nepal, our university is like this. No, we have a very good university. To be honest, what I studied in my university in bachelor helped me a lot. We study a lot of courses in our bachelors, so you don't have to be you don't feel that, okay, I don't know nothing. We know a lot. We know economics, we know engineering, we know biology, we know soil, we know everything, to be honest. So don't feel that, okay, I don't know anything. IAAS has prepared you enough. That's what I would say.
I think studying at IAAS was like great decision. And
yes, indeed.
Like we studied so much of like theoretical subjects, and like we got so much of background of the things and different fields of study, so that now if we go to some lectures, even we become familiar with different things, right?
Indeed. Yes, it's not just we studied agricultural science, for example, horticulture, agronomy, pathology, entomology. No, we also studied economics. We also studied statistics. We also studied engineering, how the tractor runs, what are the different types of engines, all of this information, in here, when they study bachelor's, they are not taught all of these courses. If a student has a bachelor degree in agriculture, they don't mostly know about all the economics principles, but then we know, so that's what I really like about the IAAS courses. And then also with all those practical, planting the maize and tracking the growth phases and seeing all through your own eyes. And of course, there are some, we are limited by all the sophisticated research materials and equipment, but okay, why should we complain for the thing that we don't have? But then maybe we need to see what we already have, and then what we can, using all those equipments what we have. Of course, there are a lot of things need to be improved in terms of research, especially the equipments and all the facilities. But that's not what we can do, but then maybe higher people can think about that. But please don't neglect it. For the students who want to study abroad, you are capable, you are well prepared. Just study very nicely, like know all the concepts.
That's true. And like if you want something, universe will conspire to give you that, and you should keep believing on yourself, right?
Indeed, as the Paulo Coelho says in The Alchemist, I think the universe really, really conspire you to be where you want to be and where you ought to be. So please, you will be there.
Definitely. Now let's move to our very interesting segment, the rapid fire, where you'll just have to give one word answer and no explanations needed. So let's get started. Sandy soils or clay soils?
Sandy soils.
Fieldwork day or modeling day?
Modeling day.
Soil pits or computer screen?
Soil pits.
Water availability or soil suitability?
Water availability. Availability.
Nature-based solutions or engineering fixes?
Nature-based solutions.
Long-term experiments or quick results?
Long-term experiments.
Working with uncertainty or strict protocols?
Working with uncertainty.
Interdisciplinary research, exciting or exhausting?
Exhaustingly exciting.
Diplomatic. Okay. Erasmus Mundus life, rewarding or overwhelming?
Rewarding.
Moving countries or staying rooted, which shaped you more?
Moving countries.
Reviewer comments, motivating or soul-crossing?
Motivating for me.
Coffee, tea, or just water?
Coffee.
Morning field work or late night thinking?
Morning field work.
Working alone or collaborative projects?
Anyway, I'm alone.
Choose one.
Okay, collaborative.
One word to describe soil research.
Grounding.
One word to describe your PhD right now.
Getting unstuck. 3 words. Sorry.
Okay, now complete this sentence. Studying soil has taught me
to stay grounded.
Okay, that's the end of our rapid fire round. Now we are almost at the end of this episode. Before concluding, we'll discuss on few more questions. So what keeps you motivated on very tough days?
Honestly, right now, I'm very pessimistic. That's a very pessimistic answer, but then I would say my salary. When I'm down, I'm literally so down that there is no way that I can feel motivated by my research.
I never heard this answer in this Candid with Candidate series. Like
It's
this
Candid.
is the first time.
Believe
Yeah,
me.
okay. Where do you see yourself after the PhD? Academia, policy, industry, or somewhere else?
So far, I don't know. What I know now is that I don't want to be indulged into this dirty academic politics. That's what I hate now. And so I don't know actually. If I find very interesting project, then maybe I would stay in academia. But I would like to maybe go have an experience of outside world than academia. So maybe I'll see there myself. Hopefully.
So, okay, whatever you'll decide to do, all the best with that. And if future Laxmi is watching this episode 10 years from now, what do you hope she remembers about this phase of life?
Everything will be okay. You will survive the PhD, or you have survived the PhD.
When is your graduation?
I don't know. At least my contract ends next year, January. Not next year, man. 2027 January. But then if I don't finish on time, then don't know when the graduation would be. Like, it's not fixed yet. It depends.
You'll finish it on time, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, but it depends on so
Finger
many
crossed.
factors. Yeah, finger crossed. But yeah, even if it does not finish in time, it's okay. I hope it finish at some point. That's the most important thing
definitely.
for me.
You should definitely finish on time, otherwise, like stipend and things gets tricky. So
Yeah, that's another trouble. I don't want to think now. I'm just avoiding all those kind of situations.
All right, Laxmi. Thank you so much for sharing your journey so honestly, from studying agriculture at IAAS in Nepal to navigating international scholarship and your PhD's interdisciplinary research and also PhD life in Europe. Your story is a reminder that where we start doesn't limit where we can go. Curiosity, persistence, and courage matter just as much as the resources. I hope students watching this, especially from Nepal and similar backgrounds, feel encouraged to dream bigger, ask questions, and believe that global research spaces are open to them as well. This was Candid with Candidates Unfiltered PhD Life. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next episode. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.